Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started. We'll have some other people coming in. I'm going to turn your mics on, Allison and Dr. Becker. I'm going to turn your mic on. Hello to those at home, and hello to those here in the Nutrition Theater at the Center for Health and Wellbeing. Welcome. I'm Jackie Carlin. What's that?
Yeah, if you would like
to.
For the resources afterwards.
Well, welcome to everybody home and welcome over here. This is Food is Medicine, Cooking for Whole Health with our two experts today, Dr. Ariana Becker and Allison Harrell. I'll tell you about them in just a second, but a couple housekeeping things because this is always a little quirky. Those of you that are watching along at home, welcome. You are welcome to use the chat to put any of your questions for the experts in here, and I will ask them as we go throughout it. For those of you here in the room, those of you that have been here before know the drill. Ask as we go if you've got any questions or wait till there's a break in talking, but this is an interactive class. This is everybody's class, so whenever you have a question, pop on in. You've got the recipe booklets in here. Those at home, I'll be sharing it in the chat in just a couple minutes, a link to all the recipes we'll be preparing today. And for everybody, we are recording this entire session, so if you have to pop out or you want to rewatch this later or you want to share it with a friend, we will be posting the entire video later this week, and you guys can share that around and get all sorts of resources and cook along at home and do it another time. So real quickly, make sure our cell phones are off to those here in the room. And at the end of the program, everybody should be receiving a survey. That's a really good opportunity because Allison and I need to plan the rest of the year. So let us know what other types of cooking classes you'd like to see, whether it's for a specific disease state, a specific ingredient, a tool. We've done Instant Pot classes. We've done other things. So just let us know what you'd like to see it here. And then I'm going to get us started and just introduce you to our guests real quick because they are two very impressive ladies. First, Dr. Ariana Becker here is a double board certified physician in family medicine and lifestyle medicine. She practices right here at the Center for Health and Wellbeing, and it's her first Food is Medicine. Yay! We're so excited. Finally got on her schedule. And for those of you that fall in love with her today, which you will, she's currently not accepting any new patients, but her practices. But she does all sorts of wonderful things, along with treating acute and chronic illnesses in patients 18 and older. Her areas of interest include Is it preventive or preventative? I always stumble on that one. I think you can be both ways.
I say preventive, but
okay.
Either way.
Preventive medicine, chronic medical condition management, including high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and lifestyle medicine, focusing on how a healthy lifestyle can prevent, treat, and even reverse chronic illnesses. So welcome, Dr. Becker, to your first Food is Medicine. Those of you that are regulars know this wonderful woman, Allison Harrell. Allison is a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and culinary medicine specialist, and a plant-based chef who's been passionate about food for more than 20 years. She is certified in weight loss management as well. And she has a high school senior graduating in a couple weeks, so it's an emotional time, so bear with us. But Allison has a wonderful online presence through her virtual dietitian programs and all of her channels, her Instagram and her newsletters, so we'll put a link to that in the chat as well. But she was going to teach you not only good recipes today, but every kitchen tool you didn't know that you needed. I have added many of them thanks to these classes, so yes. I'm going to let these two get started. Allison's going to start by telling you what we're going to have today, and then we'll get going.
Thank you very much. And Jackie's also going to put in the chat my link to sign up for my resources that I talked today, my Amazon store with all my kitchen gadgets, and I'll give you the playback. Plus, I have a book transitioning to a plant-powered diet that you can get as well if you sign up with that link as well. So today, we are going to be making a sweet and sour tofu stir-fry and a orange ginger vinaigrette over a salad and avocado tofu chocolate mousse for our dessert. And real quick, I just want to share with you what I'm going to do before we actually get into our education piece. I'm going to be taking the tofu, and at home, what I did, you want to press the tofu when it's extra firm to get all that extra moisture out. So what I do is I take the bricks of tofu, I put it on a clean dish towel, wrap it all up, and put it in between two plates and put something heavy on it. And let it sit for like 15, 20 minutes and try and get as much moisture out. You also could buy a tofu press. That's a gadget I haven't bought. I'm running out of space with all my stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did it before I cut it up because it would be hard to keep it all together if I did it afterwards. So then I pressed out and got all the moisture out, and then I cubed it into 1 inch or 1 centimeter cubes, and I am going to be putting this in this bowl and putting some cornstarch and some other seasoning on top of that. And you can take it away from here if you'd like.
All right. So I was just going to start by talking about what today's focus is, and that's whole person care, and I'm family medicine, so I'm biased, but I think whole person care is super important, making sure that you're taking care of everything about yourself, your emotional well-being, that you're eating a healthy diet, that you're exercising. So as Allison cooks, if you have questions, just go ahead and ask. I want you to see kind of how she's preparing everything, but I'll talk a little bit about kind of my journey with lifestyle medicine, so you can kind of get an idea of kind of where I'm coming from. So I am certified in family medicine, and then over the last few years, I got really interested in lifestyle medicine, mostly because of my children. So in med school and residency, honestly, I was studying. I didn't exercise. I ate whatever was there. I was not taking care of my health. And then I had kids, and I realized that, I have a big responsibility to teach them the most important thing, the most important gift that I can give them is to teach them how to be healthy and how to grow up eating a healthy diet and exercising and, having a priority on that. So they're the reasons that I wanted to get into lifestyle medicine. So it took a year to get certified. And really the focus is just trying to be, lead a healthy lifestyle, not following a particular diet, but just trying to, eat a very plant-forward diet. I raise my kids, they're vegetarians for the most part. So and my husband is too. I kind of made a deal with him. I said, try it for 6 months. Let's check your cholesterol and see how it looks at the end. And he's really hesitant, but he likes a challenge. So we did it, and his LDL dropped 60 points.
Wow.
Which was incredible, right? And so now he's like, okay, I'll do it. So now we've been vegetarian for the last, I'd say year and a half.
Was he a big meat eater before?
Not huge, but he would eat, chicken, burgers, things like that.
Uh-huh.
And, so it really improved his numbers significantly, and with family history, it was really important for him to be able to do that and bring those numbers down. So I'm very involved with my children, teaching them how to cook. Allison's seen some of my videos. I try to get my kids to, cook with us in the kitchen. They do meal prep. We're very into prepping meals, before the week starts, so that they have healthy meals for lunch.
And how old are your kids?
My son is 6 and my daughter's 3.
So you don't have to wait till they're older to get them in the kitchen. I love that you're teaching them at an early age to build that foundation.
Yeah.
And they're so cute.
Thank you. Yeah, and I feel like the fact that we started early with them, they eat different things. My daughter will just eat cherry tomatoes as a snack, and she's 3.
It's amazing.
And never believe that would happen. And my son, he's very adventurous. He'll try anything. He loves tofu. He loves salmon. He eats a very healthy diet, and it's really fun to be able to share that with your family. So I think if you have any kids or grandkids or just family members that you're close with, I think cooking with them and teaching the things you learn here from Allison is an amazing gift to share with someone.
Definitely. All right, I've taken the tofu and I put some tamari on it. Tamari is a great alternative to soy sauce, and it is gluten-free. So I like using this because you never know who is avoiding gluten. And I look for the least amount of sodium possible because a lot of our processed foods has a lot of sodium in it. So this one has 50% less sodium, so 490 milligrams. So you'd be shocked if you look at a soy sauce or regular tamari how much sodium's in it. So I coated that, and then I'm just going to take some oil and coat the pan. I like using this kitchen gadget because it actually measures out how much oil I need in the device here. And it's better than just taking your olive oil and just going, because you never know how much you're actually getting. So this way I can be more precise exactly with how much I'm going to get. So I'm going to put this over medium heat, and then once that gets warmed up, I'm going to add the tofu to that to make it a little golden brown for about 5 minutes. This was cornstarch, so that helps coat it to give it a little bit of a crisp coating on it. So this is gluten-free as well. And tofu is a plant-based protein. It's a complete protein, and it's pretty flavorless, and that's what's the beauty of it. It can take on the flavor of whatever you're cooking it with. And in today's recipes, we're going to be using soy in 3 different ways. So we've got it as extra firm here. I'm going to do some soybeans in the salad, and then with our dessert, we're going to use the silken soy.
What is the deal with gluten?
I feel like it's a trendy thing, and people are like, I need a diet. I'm going to go on a gluten-free diet. But there's so many. If they're taking, a lot of the gluten-free things have a lot of extra stuff in it that aren't health beneficial necessarily or weight loss beneficial to you. If you have an intolerance and need to avoid gluten, I'm so grateful there's a lot of better tasting gluten-free products out there. But if you don't have an intolerance, I don't think you necessarily need to avoid it.
So celiac disease is something that certain people have where they really have to avoid gluten. And with celiac, we can do a blood test to see if you have it. And then there's also, like, to get a definitive diagnosis, you usually have to see a gastroenterologist, and they'll do biopsies when they do a scope to kind of tell if you might have celiac. And there, I tell people to listen to their body. So there's some people who test negative for it, but gluten or certain foods really irritate them. And even if it doesn't come back on the blood test, if it bothers you, listen to your body. But there's no reason to avoid gluten if you don't have a sensitivity to it or, you don't have celiac.
And I've done elimination diets with people. So if they're like, I don't know what is causing this problem, so we'll take away some of the common allergens, with gluten being one of them, and then have them have a diet free of that for 30 days and then systematically reintroduce it to see how your body reacts, and then you can know. So that's another way you could do it. But if I wouldn't just follow a gluten-free diet just because, because my friend's doing it.
What's your best coating for tofu? Because almost, how it is, you try to get a crunchy thing on it, and it all just kind of starts coming.
Yeah. I'm using the cornstarch with it, and really is not messing with it. And right now I'm messing with it a little too much, and it is breaking up a little bit because since I'm creating such a volume for so many people, so it's not real. I really should probably be doing this in a bigger pot or two, but if it was one layer flat, it would be better, but it's hard. You almost have to go like this with each one to keep it to keep it together. But
I try all different kinds of coatings.
Yeah.
Just to see, and I think there's a fine line temperature, and I don't know.
And it's not messing with it. So she was asking what's the best coating to use to help the tofu not break apart. And I think not messing with it is probably the best thing. Mm-hmm. But you get so excited. You're like, oh, let's see. Yeah.
Could you do it in the oven?
You could probably do it in the oven on a sheet pan, yeah. I've done that before. But with the stir fry, I like to have all the flavors in there, so I do it in the pot. But you could definitely do it in the oven. I've done that if I'm just making like crispy tofu squares to put like on a salad. But to me, it wasn't as flavorful, so I like it in the stir fry.
So you do crispy tofu squares?
I've done that before in one of the classes, yeah. So it's just I can't remember exactly the recipe, but it was a cornstarch-based recipe with some seasonings and cut thin into squares and put that on a baking sheet. Yeah.
That's actually what my husband has every day for lunch. He's the type of person that can eat the same exact thing every single day and likes it. And that's what he does. He bakes his tofu. And then after he's done cooking, he'll put some chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds on it to increase the fiber. And then he'll put like a little bit of like barbecue sauce or teriyaki sauce or something like that on it. So, and it's really good.
And just eat it like that? Just
Yeah.
tofu?
He makes some quinoa and he does broccoli too. So that's his little thing that he does.
What temperature do you cook it at?
I think he does 450.
Yeah.
I think it's 450.
Yeah.
Higher, kind of like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he flips it halfway through, and they turn out really like nice and kind of.
You could probably put the broccoli in there on the sheet pan at the same time. I love crispy broccoli on the edges, so yummy. And then you're just one pan and done. Yeah, Brussels sprouts.
Well, with all this talk of soy, it's the good time to answer the question everyone always has about avoiding soy, especially for women approaching menopause. So we'll use this moment now for Dr. Becker and Allison, your research too, to debunk that, what you've found with it.
Yeah, so I do often have patients come in who say that, they can't have soy because they had a history of breast cancer or, they've heard bad things. And all of the evidence that's come out recently has really kind of said that that's not the case, and actually soy can be helpful in preventing cancers, especially like breast cancer and prostate cancer. So I encourage, in fact, we eat tofu and edamame. That's like a huge thing that we eat in our house. My kids love edamame, but really all the evidence shows now that it's healthy for you.
I'm gonna put it in my salad spinner.
I think that it's it's healthy for everybody as long as you don't have any sort of intolerance for it. But I think the cancer thing has kind of been disproven at this point. Yeah.
What do you tell your patients, especially men, to get them to try a plant-based diet if they're not really
Yeah, the men are hard. I will say that. I will tell them, I'll say, I think we should try a plant-forward diet. And I say plant-forward because nobody's perfect, and we're just trying to eat more plants. So plant-forward, you don't have to be a strict vegan and never eat cheese or anything like that. But I tell them, sometimes the numbers will talk. So I'll say, listen, let's try it for 3 months. We'll check your cholesterol, we'll have your cholesterol numbers now, we'll check them again, we'll see how you feel. And I have been successful in converting some people to doing more of a plant-forward diet. And they feel better, their numbers improve. When they see the numbers change, that's when they're like, oh, well, maybe this does work. So, yeah.
One of my main activities, especially with the grandkids, when they come over, is we do cooking together.
Yeah.
Engage a guy with a program they can watch, glass of wine, help the process, sometimes psychologically.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. For those listening, she mentioned that if we could get guys involved with, cooking as a family or a group where they can maybe, follow along and watch along, they might enjoy that more. I think and be more engaged. And I completely agree with that. I think that's
Come to classes like this.
Yeah.
So that would be a fun date night. And I am working on a mini course on transitioning to a plant-powered diet, talking about the health benefits of it. There'll be some cooking demos and recipes in there. So I will send that out in the email after the class, so you can get on the wait list for when that's available. But I agree.
Later today, we'll be posting It's a new class we've just added. It's going to be Thursday, June 6th. And it's going to be transitioning to a plant-based diet. So we should put that up by this afternoon.
Bring your spouses.
So grab those spots quick,
Date
everybody.
lunch.
Me and my husband are moving in that direction. We don't have red meat anymore, and we don't have really fatty meat. But we still have the chicken and the very lean turkey. I mean, how harmful is that?
So I think, it's all a process. And I think if you kind of start there and you kind of work your way towards more and more plant-based, I think that's only going to benefit your health. I feel like chicken, it can still increase your cholesterol, so that's why we try not to eat it. But, even chicken breast, yeah. So I think the more plant-based substitutions you can do, so doing like edamame instead of chicken, or black beans, or, lentils, things like that, the more you can kind of sub that. But you don't have to cut out chicken altogether if that doesn't fit your lifestyle and what you feel comfortable with. You got to do what you feel comfortable with. And I think the more, as you go, you might find it easier and more things that you can substitute. We do a lot of mushrooms, we do sweet potatoes, we do a lot of different things that kind of go in place of meat. So we'll have, sweet potato tacos, or you could do lentils. There's a really good lentil recipe you can use instead of ground beef. So I think just experimenting and trying to every day do a little bit more and experiment with new things is what I would shoot for.
And I would like to also add, you can say you're doing tacos, but you're doing it with ground meat, using the mushrooms in that, or adding some cauliflower to that. Then grind it all together and cook it all together. The mushrooms have that umami flavor to it, so you may not even notice that you're having a lot of mushrooms in it. You're adding your fiber and increasing your intake of veggies. That helps. It's good for your gut microbiome, and cutting out I like to crowd out the stuff you don't want with good stuff. I don't like to ever say you can't have this ever. Let's crowd out with yummy good stuff, and then you're less likely to eat some of the less healthy for you
great
stuff.
Idea. With rice too, you can mix in half cauliflower rice.
Yeah.
Kind of get used to that taste. I do, as far as the turkey, I do try to tell patients to avoid processed cold cuts, because the World Health Organization, if you go to their website, that's actually a class 1 carcinogen, which is smoking is too. So a lot of people don't know that, but if you go to their website, it's been processed meats, bacon,
hot dogs,
sausage. It's all been linked with increased risk of cancer. It's been shown to do that. So I try to encourage people to avoid those as much as they can.
What about B12? A lot of people say you should take more B12 if you're vegetarian.
Yeah, that's a great question. So she asked if you need to take more B12 if you're a vegetarian. And you do. That's true. So vitamin D and B12 are super important, especially if you're doing plant-based diet. And for B12, there are ways you can get it with a plant-based diet. So nutritional yeast has B12. And the way we get B12 when we eat meat is that, cows used to eat dirt when they roamed free. And then now that they don't really do that much anymore, they just inject the cows with B12. So we get the B12 from eating the cow that was injected with the B12. So I think it's better to just either take a B12 supplement, or you could do a B12 shot yourself, but you kind of cut out that middle part. So I like the sublingual B12, and of course, check with your doctor before doing any sorts of supplements to make sure it's right for you. But you don't need too much. I usually tell people to do like 1,000 micrograms of B12 sublingual, so it melts on your tongue. Like 3 times a week would be enough if you're following a completely plant-based diet. There's a cherry flavor that's much better than the plain. Just so you know.
Overdo B12, like, because I started doing a doctor. I did the tongue, like under the tongue every day, every morning. But I'm not a plant-based.
So if you're doing like one, the lab, when we can check a B12 level in your blood work. She asked if you can do too much B12. And if you check the labs, there are usually like over like 1,500 or 2,000. You don't want to really go over that, is what they say. Most times I'd say with what you're probably doing, you would just pee out the extra. If you were doing super high doses, I think it probably would be good, as well as vitamin D. You don't want to do too much of that. But I think if you're doing, I usually say a few times a week for a B12 supplement will do the trick, and extra might not do that much more. So I would just stick with kind of,
Until you get to that.
unless you're doing probably excessive amounts.
Yes. And majority of people are deficient in vitamin D, even though we live in Florida and it's like the sunshine vitamin. So I would definitely ask your doctor to check it as a baseline so you can see. And 30 micrograms is like what they say is normal, at least 30, but I like to go at least for 50. The upper limit is 100. It's going to be hard to get to that toxic level unless you're ingesting a lot of supplements, I think. Mm-hmm. But it acts as a hormone too. So that's definitely something to have on your radar when you're asking your physician for lab work to check the vitamin D. And they typically do, right?
Sometimes it's hard to get it covered, but if you have a history of vitamin D deficiency, most insurances will cover it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to play around like osteoporosis, osteopenia. The diagnosis, if your doctor uses long-term drug therapy, I found that works. So if you take, a blood pressure medicine or a cholesterol medicine, usually you can get it linked to that. But completely agree, vitamin D is so important. And vitamin D and B12 deficiencies have been, shown that when you're low in that, it's a little bit harder to lose weight too. So you want to make sure that you're having good levels of that.
Sign me up. I wanted to point out this stir fry is going to be using ginger, and ginger, this is what it looks like in the grocery store, and so I've seen some people use veggie peelers, but you really don't need to do that. You just take your spoon and you can peel it that way. It's very easy to get the skin off, and you don't waste so much. Like if you were to use a knife, you're going to cut off a lot of the ginger, and we know all the grocery bills are so expensive these days, and we don't want to waste any of that food. So I am just peeling off the skin of the ginger, and I'm going to be taking my grater and grating that into our marinade that we're going to be using for the stir fry.
How do you store the ginger then?
I tend to put it in the fridge, but if you look at the grocery store and you see where things are stored in the grocery store, that's what you need to do at home. So like, you don't have to necessarily put the apples in the refrigerator, they're out. So if you're losing space. So, but I don't use it often enough, so I put it in the refrigerator. You also can freeze it. So sometimes I'll take the grated ginger and do a bunch and then freeze it in a Ziploc bag and flatten it out so then I can break little pieces off and put that in any recipe that I have. Or I'll slice the excess ginger that I have, put it in a big pitcher of water and just let it infuse into my water to have some more health benefits to it and also just for some flavoring.
So when you put it in the fridge, put it in a Ziploc bag.
That's what I do, just because if I've already peeled it, I don't want, and I don't want it to absorb any smells and flavors that are maybe in the fridge if I put like a big leftover onion thing in there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you could also buy ginger paste, but make sure you check on the expiration dates on those things. You find them in the produce section, and that can be very convenient for you in cooking if you don't want to get out your grater. I like to show people shortcuts in the kitchen because cooking is a chore. It's not something that comes like it's not like first nature to everybody. You have to learn how to do it. So I like to show people shortcuts because a lot of times when I work with clients, the biggest barrier is I don't have time to cook. So let's figure out some shortcuts. Like we needed some shredded carrots. I bought the shredded carrots already shredded at Publix because I, wanted to show you that it's okay to use some of those pre-cut things. They have pre-cut onions and peppers. Whenever I look at them, they don't look that fresh, so those I tend to shy away from, but the carrots are great because they're very sturdy.
I think anything that is going to make you more successful, make things easier for you to do the right choice, so whether it's buying things that are maybe like pre-sliced like that, if you're more likely to use them, like make it easy for yourself to make the right decision. That makes sense. So we do Green Chef at home because I work full time, my husband works full time,
Yeah.
and it would be awesome if I could go buy everything from the farmer's market. That would be great. We do that, but for like our weekly meals, Green Chef delivers it to your door, so that's been really awesome. But I do that because it makes it easier for me to make a healthy choice instead of ordering pizza.
Yeah.
And doing that quick thing that I have to do if I hadn't kind of planned ahead for that.
So the Green Chef, do you actually have to cook it like a HelloFresh, or is it already prepared?
Yes, so it is, we do have to cook it, and it takes about 30 minutes for it to be cooked and put together and everything. So it's very much like HelloFresh, Blue Apron, They have a bunch of different ones. Purple Carrot, that's a nice, mostly plant-based one. Green Chef, I like it. It's actually Home Chef, which Home Chef has some of those pre-made meals.
Okay.
But Green Chef's more of the like plant-based version of that. So I like it a lot.
Very nice.
It is a little bit pricey. I'd have to look to see exactly how much it is. They always have coupons though that you can like try it and get a discount for the first time. But I would say, groceries are so expensive. If you go and consider the time that you're taking to go to the grocery store, and and they give you the portion that you need. So a lot of times you'll have to buy like a whole big, whatever it is that you need when you might only need a little bit of ginger. Exactly. Yeah, you might only need a little bit. So I think it's efficient, and I like anything that makes things easier for me to do the right thing.
And less food waste.
Less food waste, yeah.
And also, it is an investment into your health when you're eating and choosing the better for you choices, and it will eventually save you healthcare costs down the line because you're preventing disease.
Exactly.
So spending a little bit more in the grocery store to make those better choices is worth it. But I do like the idea of less food waste. You're actually... You know what you're going to have that week to eat. It's helping you meal plan, grocery shop. It kind of solves a lot of barriers people have and saves you so much time.
Reduces stress.
Yep.
Stressing about what we're going to eat.
And you can get your kids involved too, or your spouse involved, because the directions are already there. And
Tanika in the chat points out a good thing. More grocery stores have those meal kits available as well now too, like Publix
they
I know
do.
Does, Fresh Market, Whole Foods, where you can buy it like it gets delivered and all the ingredients are in there too.
Yeah.
And we've done that a couple times too.
I have too, and it's great.
Yeah.
The ginger, I wanted to point out, that helps calm nausea. So when your mom or grandma is like, have some ginger ale if you're feeling sick when you're younger. And when, like with pregnant women, I used to work with pregnant women, and when they would have nausea, that we would recommend some ginger to them as well. It also can help lower your blood sugar. So I like incorporating that. And all right, so I've taken the tofu out, so I have space to cook up my veggies. And I've made the sauce by whisking it together. And then I'm going to add the bell pepper and pineapple chunks to cook for a little bit with the sweet and sour sauce. And I'm actually going to add all the veggies. So, all right, so we've got 2 bell peppers. I doubled the recipe, just so you know. I'm going to add a little bit more oil. This is maple syrup. I don't really like agave. You could, I guess. I prefer the maple syrup.
Agave, health-wise, is not bad.
I'm not a big fan of it. I prefer the maple syrup. It's a sugar. Sugar is sugar. But this, I find is a better sweetener than the agave. All right, so here we got the red onions and our pineapple.
So while we have a second, I want to give a little shout out to Dr. Trevor Hicks, who's sitting here, and I want all of you to know about a program that's going on here at the center. It's called Well Together. Have you guys heard about it? No? So Well Together is a program that he's leading, and it's essentially, when we're talking about whole person care, I think this is like the program. So what it is it's an 8-week program. During it, you get to meet with personal trainers. They have multiple events per week, like you end up coming like 2 to 3 times a week. And you can have access to the gym. So if you're not a member of the gym, you can have access to the gym the entire time, access to the personal trainers. You meet with like nutritionist, dietitian, mental health counselor, and they do all sorts of things to just improve your overall well-being and to like help form goals and healthy habits. And it's an amazing program. My mom did it. She really liked it a lot. And everybody who's done it has had wonderful things to say about it. You know, they've been able to eat healthier diets, form new habits. A lot of them lost weight. A lot of people had their blood pressure go down. So I think it's a really cool program. You just have to have your doctor sign off on it. But he keeps track of like some statistics before and after, and it's been really cool to see how people progress in the program.
How long is that program?
It's an 8-week program.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how often do you meet?
Like 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, you want to hit that one?
Yeah, so that's a good question.
Hold on, Trevor. And for those at home, I'm going to put Trevor's email address in the chat if anybody has any questions.
So the question was, is it covered by insurance? That is our ultimate goal down the road, is to get this covered by every insurance. But as we know, not much as far as insurance in terms of preventative health care is covered so far. However, I have had a couple of people be successful with getting it covered and reimbursed by their HSA. So if you do have that as a benefit, either through your employer or through your own private standalone insurance, we've had them basically just send in the brochure and physician's referral to the program, and they were successful with getting that reimbursed. It is only $249, I will add. It's a one-time fee, and that it covers the entire 8 weeks. And as Dr. Becker said, that includes 2 supervised sessions a week with a fitness specialist or exercise physiologist in the gym. And then we also meet, and we do it as a cohort. Coincidentally enough, I will be leaving here soon because we have one of our meetings today at noon. Our groups are as small as 20 people. That's the max. And basically, you kind of create that community, that cohort, to kind of keep people engaged, which I was listening earlier when you were talking about how do we get the men engaged. Surprisingly enough, we've had some men that have been brought to this program by their wives, but actually have really enjoyed the community aspect of it. And yeah, so it's good.
What about the mental health and
Yeah. Yeah, so those are primarily what we meet as a group to talk about. We teach them almost as group education style. Our registered dietitians, we partner with Advent Health Diabetes Institute and Center for Nutritional Excellence. They come in and they do 3 one-hour sessions as far as meal prepping, meal planning, and then our final week, we actually meet in here for a 2-hour kind of culmination class. They have their chef and dietitian, and we cook a meal together, and we get to share a meal together. So you learn about not only the nutrition of it all during the 8 weeks, but then you actually get to cook some healthier meals and experience a lot of like what you're doing here today. The licensed mental health counselor, she actually teaches a behavioral health program. So it's a program within a program called Kickstart 30, and it's all about creating healthier habits and behaviors to really just promote all of the healthy habits that you learn through sleep, through exercise, through nutrition, and stress management.
Mm-hmm. It's really a great deal. I mean, you can go to the gym every single day in that period, and to have the trainers, and it's an amazing program.
They have brochures up at the front desk. I didn't bring any over with me today, but they have them at the front desk if you're ever interested. And again, I know Jackie put my email in the chat. Please reach out to me if you have questions. I have an e-brochure I can pretty much email right back to you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we got cooking in here?
All right, so we got our red peppers, our onions, and our carrots. I'm just letting them saute a little bit to get a little bit softer. And then I'm going to be adding in the tofu and the sweet and sour sauce. I'm going to add in our pineapple. You can use canned pineapple. If pineapple's not in season, that's totally fine. I like to use it packed in either water or light or the pineapple juice. The syrups really increase the calories and sugar. You could rinse it off if you wanted to, but today I used fresh pineapple and chopped that up. And
like, for instance, Publix, do they have a lot of these lower
I shop at Publix. Yeah, I can walk there from my house. So I wish I lived near Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. That would be amazing. But so I find it at Publix. And I also do Thrive Market. Have you ever heard of that? It's an online market that you become a member, and they have a lot of products that I can't find in my Publix, like a white miso paste if I want to make a different soup, or if I just want to have convenience and have the healthier alternatives delivered to my house, I will do that. My husband loves regular soda, which I'm trying to convert him. And we've been married almost 5 years now, so I'm still working on him. But I found this Olipop through Thrive Market that he loves, and it tastes like regular. It's good, and it's got probiotics and prebiotics in it. It's a little pricey, but I'd rather have that than pay for insulin and stuff like that later.
Yeah.
Olipop, Ollipop, I believe. Thrive Market, and I will send it in the email, and they have a coupon code so you get a discount off of your first purchase. It is a membership like a Sam's Club or Costco, so look through the store and see if it's something that you're really going to do. You can do the first month and cancel it if you decide it's not for you and get your money back. But I found that that's very helpful to get some of the items I can't find at my normal Publix.
Breaking news from the chat. Apparently,
Yes.
Publix now carries Olipop.
Holla! and Costco. And
Costco,
But they
okay.
don't have the flavors my husband likes.
Okay.
But yes, Publix has it too. But it's pretty pricey. But it tastes like a regular Coke. I'd have to look at the label. I don't know it off the top of my head. I would think it would have like stevia or something in there. But it tastes delicious. All right, I'm going to let this simmer, and I'm going to quickly get the salad going. All right, so I left this out because I wanted to show you a great way to cut your lettuce to make it bite-sized pieces. So typically I would just go do like that, right? So just when you get your romaine, cut down so then it's more bite-sized pieces, because I hate when you have a big chunk and you're like, excuse me. So you go like this, and then you're going to cut down. And I like my salad spinner. I got this at Costco as well, impulse buy. But it's worth it because you can put your salad in here afterwards. So, and serve it that way. So I've got my lettuce.
You have all these little tools listed right on your website?
I have an Amazon store where there's probably like 50 things on there because I bring different things all the time, and people are always asking me, where'd you get that? So I didn't go down the center. So I list them all in the Amazon store so I could just share that with everybody. All right. And I think we're going to go a little bit opposite, where you're going to get your tofu first because I still need to make the dressing. This is going to be done pretty quickly, but I wanted to show you a shortcut, and it's good if you're cooking for one. I buy these prepackaged Seeds of Change brown rice packets, and it's when you cook rice and let it cool down, it creates a resistant starch, so you absorb less of the carbohydrates in it. So that I wanted to show that to you. I could save money and just make the rice on my own, but this I just throw in the microwave and then it's ready to go. So I wanted you to have an opportunity to taste it, and so I am going to squeeze the pouch, throw this in the microwave, and let this heat up for you, and then we're going to serve it with the stir fry. Thank you. You heat it up and let it cool down. That works with potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, and you absorb less of the carbohydrates in it because it creates this resistant starch. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, while she's doing that, maybe I could be really fast and get the salad dressing done. So here, will you break these up and then, all right, awesome.
So my panel's full, but my partners all have openings, and we have over in my office we have Dr. Canachero, we have Dr. Owens, who's a male, and sometimes the guys want to see guys. So, and then we have Dr. Morello, and we also have nurse practitioner Jennifer, and we have a PA Dawn.
What is the name of your practice?
It's the one that's like right here on the first floor here. Yeah, so if you just go around the corner, yeah. But it's family medicine at the Center for Health and Wellbeing. That's the name of it.
But the lifestyle, is that part of it too, or is that your separate thing?
Yeah, so she asked if the lifestyle was part of like my office, and actually it is now. So it didn't used to be.
Yay!
But what we do now, and we just started them in the last couple of months, is if you are a patient of our office, so it doesn't have to be a patient of mine, but if you're a patient in our office, you see one of the other doctors or nurse practitioners or the PA, I do shared medical appointments. And I do it once a month. We're probably going to start doing it more because we've had a lot of interest in it. But what it is, it's a 90-minute session. So instead of, the like 7 to 10 minutes you get, it's a 90-minute session. I'm there the whole time. And we go over different topics. So everyone in that group, all 10 patients, are going to have a common diagnosis. So we've done high blood pressure and we've done high cholesterol so far. And what we do is I have a PowerPoint and I go over like my best tips to help lower blood pressure naturally, my best tips to lower cholesterol naturally. And then what we do is we usually have go around, come up with goals together, and it's really cool because a lot of the patients get ideas from each other, where one person will say, oh, I've tried this, and then somebody will, oh, like I want to try that. And we kind of try to stay as a cohort so that, it's cool because they kind of get to know each other. And
like a support group. That
support
sounds
group.
awesome.
Yeah, and then some of them even exchange numbers, went to Nourish afterwards. So it's been very fun. I really like it because I'm not just sitting on the computer the whole time. I'm not on the computer at all, actually. I'm just talking to patients, trying to give them ideas. My medical assistant's in there documenting everything so that we do have that follow-up, and I know what we talked about. And then the patients like it because it's 90 minutes, and it's a cool.
I think that's
thing.
an amazing way to see patients, because then
Yeah.
you really get to have more time with the physicians. Because the typical physician in a practice, how much time do they get?
Like we get 15 minutes is the block. So,
Yeah.
and we got a document, so usually it's like, 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can't, you can give somebody a cholesterol medicine at that time. You can't explain how to change your diet and how to improve your lifestyle and how to exercise 150 minutes a week. Like there's just not enough time to do that. And so this is kind of a way we found to be able to educate patients, to empower them to make healthier choices.
I love that.
Yeah.
How many people in each cohort?
10.
Okay.
And we've done 2 sessions so far, and everybody loved it. So pretty much, I think there were a couple, maybe 1 or 2 people who couldn't make it to the second one because of just conflicting schedules, but everybody else signed up for the second one, and those people I think signed up for another one in the future. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
And if people wanted to do that but couldn't come in the office, could they do it via Zoom?
So I've been working with Advent Health. That's a great question. I've been working with Advent Health. I'm getting ready to present to a bunch of the office managers, and we're going to see if we can potentially bring it to more offices. Because not everybody's as lucky as me to work in this beautiful center where I have a conference room. We go in the conference room upstairs.
Right.
Not everybody's that lucky. So, but what we're hoping is that we can extend this to other Advent Health offices where they could do a virtual, because you can do, like a group session on like different platforms. So that could be to come.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be fun to do cooking classes too.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, the hope is at some point with the shared medical appointments, maybe we could get in here and kind of do something for one of the 90-minute sessions. So.
A serving bowl, maybe the white one. Is it really heavy?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So the question was, how do you eat healthy at a restaurant? That's the most challenging part. And I agree, it's very challenging. One thing that I try to do is I try to look at the menu before I go.
That's what I do.
And I don't let anybody know that I'm doing that because they might think I'm a big nerd, right? But I do. I look at it, I'll pull out the menu and look like I'm looking at it when, you're with friends or whatever. But I know what I'm ordering going into that.
Yep.
And I'm going to try not to let anybody persuade me to do something different than what I had kind of gone in planning to do.
And order first, because then you aren't tempted to get what they're getting.
Exactly.
And you might inspire them to get something healthier
So true.
than what you're doing.
I love that. Yep. So I think previewing the menu, and even like a lot of times, you know, I might get weird looks from the waitress or the waiter, but it doesn't matter because it's what I'm eating. But a lot of times I'll order just like sides and I'll kind of put it together. You know, I'll do whatever, like a side of broccoli, a side of another vegetable, the fruit cup off the kids menu. Like I just put things together if there's nothing there that I feel like that I want to eat or that I can't eat, since I eat pretty much vegetarian diet.
And I have been known to bring, I love queso. I love guacamole, but that always comes with chips, and I always know that's just a lot of salt that I don't want. I'll either ask, do they have veggies in the back that I could have with it, like cucumbers, carrots, peppers, celery, or whatever. But if I know they don't, I'll bring it in a baggie and bring it with me. I mean, that's not like your sit down typical. It's like more of a more casual place. But and at Little Greek, I will bring my own pita bread and swap it out for their pita bread, because theirs is like this thick, and like white pita bread is probably 350 calories, where I could bring a healthier version with lots of fiber and protein that's maybe under 100 calories. So no shame in my game. It's my body. I want to, do that. But I definitely do look at the menu every time I go to a restaurant, just to see what they have, so I make a more educated choice, and I'm not making a choice based on starvation.
Right.
Because,
Yeah, you're making it ahead of time where you can really think through it and make that decision and kind of commit to it. Yeah, completely agree. That was a great question.
Doctor's Makes sells salt-free tortilla chips that are healthier version, and then
Garden of Eden or something?
Yeah.
Or Garden of Life. Yeah.
pretty good.
Yes. But at the restaurant, they're not doing that, because they know better. They want you to eat more. Then the salt will make you eat more and drink more.
I wonder if they give you lots.
It is heavy.
Well, another thing you could do too at a restaurant is like splitting a meal, with a friend or a significant other. And then, I think a lot of times we eat what's in front of us. You feel like you have to clean the plate. That's what our parents taught us. But, and even if you don't have somebody to split with, just ask for a to-go box right away. You can put half of it in it, and then you can have the other half. But I think like splitting with somebody or splitting up the meal, because a lot of times the portion sizes are
Huge.
yeah.
Sauces on the side are
Yeah, or
huge.
salad dressing on the side. So
Yep.
it's a great idea.
And oftentimes they'll start with bread and it's so tempting, but then it just makes you want to eat more food. So I will sometimes pass on the bread or ask them not to even bring the bread. And if it's not worth it, it's not worth it, But if it's a nice, crispy, yummy, crunchy piece, maybe I'll do it, And no shame. I don't make myself feel guilty about it. There's no shame in that.
Yeah. And nobody's perfect, You're not going to be perfect or make perfect decisions all the time. You just want to try to be, try to make good decisions most of the time.
Right.
When we were talking about vitamin D earlier, I love that you talked about that. And one thing, I don't know if you've ever done it, but I was reading that you can sun your mushrooms to get vitamin D.
Yeah.
Have you
I
ever
have
done
heard that? I have not done it, but I have heard of that.
So that's a way you can get extra vitamin D. Is actually you take your mushrooms out in the sun and you put it on some foil, and then you have to sit it out there. I think it's for like 15 minutes to 30 minutes. They take in the sun, and you can get vitamin D that way, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah.
Kind of like how we were when we were younger.
Yeah.
The baby oil.
Yeah.
All right. So I like to use a bench scraper when I'm getting ingredients off my cutting board, because then I'm not going to dull my knife. This is an inexpensive tool that you can get, and that way you keep your knives sharp. When your knives are dull, you're more at risk for hurting yourself and cutting yourself. Feel free to dig in. Don't wait for us. All right.
How do you keep your knife sharp? Like, do you suggest a specific kind of knife sharpener? Because I know the butcher block with the round.
That is just to keep it, maintain the sharpness. It doesn't sharpen it. So I it's on my Amazon store. I actually used it today at home, and if you take good care, don't put it in the dishwasher, because all that little, the sand of the dishwashing soap, it can dull it. Don't scrape it on a cutting board. Get it professionally sharpened occasionally. It's probably been 5 years for me, and I just maintain it with that sharpener that I bought. It was probably $20. And at all these farmers markets, they have this one guy named Grumpy. He's the knife sharpener guy, and he's the one that told me, you're scraping your cutting board. That's why it's all grumpy.
Okay.
He's at all the farmers markets. I live over by Windermere, and I see him there on Friday mornings, but he goes to Winter Garden, and I think he goes to Winter Park. Yeah.
He goes to Winter Park.
Yeah. And he is grumpy, but but he's good. I also heard that Bass Pro Shops will sharpen your knives for free if you bring them in, but I don't know if my husband was just trying to get me to go to Bass Pro Shops or not. So I haven't tested that out yet, because I'm like, absolutely not. I don't feel like driving to that side of town. It's so crazy over there. So
You just have a tent. I don't have
he just has a tent. He brings a little pop-up little workstation, and you drop your knives off there with him. I would go first thing in the morning, so you potentially can get them back same day, but typically you have to go back and get it the next week, or meet him at another farmer's market to pick him up. And the serrated knives are going to take a little bit longer, because that's more effort, but you'll be amazed at how sharp they are, and like cut through a tomato like super easy. And I am getting some fresh juice for our salad dressing.
Do you compost at home?
I don't, but I teach at another teaching kitchen, and they're huge on composting. So we do compost here, so that's why I'm collecting it. But I'm kind of like thinking about it. So we'll see. Do you compost at home?
We do, yeah. You just putting this stuff in there made me think about it.
Yeah.
We do. We have like a little compost. I mean, we don't have a huge yard, but we just kind of have it like around back where like a little shed where the kids' toys are, and we put it behind that. But something about it makes me feel so much better when, like, if something goes,
Yeah,
gets spoiled,
you don't feel as guilty.
You don't feel as guilty putting it in there.
Yeah.
But it's been cool because it's made, like, we've had soil that we've been able to, like,
Right,
destroy, so.
because the soil is so overcropped, and a lot of the soil is turned to topsoil, so it's hard to grow things. So it is important to compost so that you can have that nutrient-rich soil to garden if you're going to be growing some of your own things. I do tower gardens because I kill everything in the yard. I don't remember to go out there and tend to it, but I love my tower garden, and there's something about fresh from your garden or your tower garden. It tastes so much better than what you're buying in the grocery store, because a lot of the food are coming thousands of miles away to be in our grocery store. And a lot of foods in our produce section aren't actually in season, so that's gonna affect the flavor as well.
How did you learn how to do that and get the supplies for it?
It was an impulse buy, but I wanted it. I was like, I was doing I used to do freezer meal workshops, and I went to a vendor show, and there's another company that sells tower gardens, and I'm like, okay, God, if the tower garden girl is there, I'm gonna buy it. And it was a $500 purchase, so it was like a big purchase for me, and lo and behold, there she was. And so I'm like, I just walked up, I'm like, I wanna buy a tower garden, and she was probably like, oh my gosh, she was like a new rep. So she's like, I hit the jackpot. But so I bought a tower garden, and then I used to work at Arnold Palmer Hospital with cystic fibrosis kids, and my coworker, the nurse practitioner, we sat next to each other, and we both speak the same language when it comes to nutrition and growing food and all that. And one of our patients was selling 2 of her tower gardens. I'm like, buy the tower garden. So she did, and I don't have the patience to sprout my own seedlings. I was buying them already sprouted, and she loves to do that. So I'm like, I will buy the supplies and the seeds, and so you sprout them. So we have a little system together. So
That's awesome.
She makes we call them our babies. She makes our babies, and then I benefit. Yeah, I do. I mean, it has no pesticides. It's like I'm pouring nutrients into the water, and it's just made in a rock wool versus this soil, maybe some, I mean, I'm adding nutrients to it, so maybe the soil has nutrients, but you're also, maybe the soil's a little bit better, but I'm totally fine with the tower garden. It's better to me than non-organic produce, but any produce to me is good. So any way to get produce in, I'm happy with it.
So to juice the orange, you were doing it by hand. Can you use one of those juicers where you cut it in half
Yep.
and you just stick it? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. My kitchen is tiny, so I have to be choosy. And my husband, when he came to the party at my house, like moved in with me, this is his tool. So this is what he brought to the kitchen. Huh? Yeah, this is great, and you can lock it. So I just spin it, and then you can use, whoops, sorry, confetti. And then you can take this, you just drain it out, and you can use this as a serving bowl and store it in the fridge that way.
They do have composting services. I was at Earth Day in Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, we work here at the Center for Health and Wellbeing with O-Town Compost, which is a great local company. Yeah, and so they will pick it up from you, and then they've got different options. You can either donate it, and they will give it to different organizations around town, or you can get bags of composted soil back. So,
And that's why I'm collecting over here, because that's going to go with O-Town Compost. And I think that's under the Four Roots umbrella.
I think they partner with them. I think they're their own entity.
Okay.
So, because they work a lot with fleet farming as well, which is another one of our partners.
Gotcha.
We had a whole lot of pots around my house working with that, and I started cutting them like 3 or 4 months ago. And the classes they have, they give you
Uh-huh.
and I put those just in pots.
They're walking out right now. Mama G's walking out. We had a class at the same time. Yeah.
Like garlic and put it in a pot.
Mm-hmm.
And so at night when you make a salad, just go around and get the miracle leaf and
Yep.
the mullein and add all that stuff to your salad because it's right there. You can pretty much ignore it, just water it.
Right, yeah, you definitely could do that.
And what we're talking about here in the room is we have regular gardening classes here. We have one going on at the same time today with edible spinaches, a variety of spinach she was doing with Melissa of Mama G Farms. So if you haven't taken any of her classes, I highly encourage it. Check her out on our calendar. She also is one of our regular vendors at our quarterly Commons Co-op, which is another great opportunity to come and look at plants and look at different options. And then our fleet farming friends also do monthly gardening classes as well on different things. And so the plants are usually a part of it, plants distribution, so.
What are the benefits of the onion? Like, is that flavor or are you getting specific nutrients if you don't like a lot of onions?
You do get some nutrition from onions. It's in the allium family, and it has some fiber in it as well. But if you don't like it, then by all means, you don't have to have it. If you cook it, it will be a little bit more mild. And try different types of onions. These look pretty sad. I don't know why they look so sad. I always store them in water, but today they're looking a little floppy. I don't understand. But have you tried green onions, scallions? Do you like those?
Yeah.
They're more mild, so you could try different varieties of the onions. But they have antioxidant properties to it. So the goal is to try and get 30 different plants in a week because that's really good for your gut microbiome. And plants aren't just vegetables and fruit. It also is like your spices and things like that. So when you're counting all the different plant sources, then, make sure you count your spices. But also, when you're using spices, if you have the same spice rack you got for your bridal shower, you probably need to get rid of it. So I was shocked. It's almost embarrassing to say, but when I was going through my refrigerator, I was looking at some of the pastes that I had, the ginger paste. I'm like, oh, well, I'll bring that in. And it was just a little bit expired. I'm like, tossed it. I had a basil in there, was years old. And I'm like, no, what? I mean, it's black. I'm like, how did it was tucked away. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But the spices have medicinal properties. So you don't want to use expired medication, just like you don't want to use expired spices. Also, the flavor goes away. So I suggest going to if you aren't going to use a lot of a certain spice, maybe going to a store that has those bins where you can just get enough or smaller portions. I know Fresh Market gives you little Ziploc baggies, so if you're not sure if you like a spice, you can get that. But also making your own spice blends. Last night I made tacos for my family, and I used the last little bit of taco meat or taco seasoning, and I was like, darn it, what am I going to do? I don't have any more. So I just looked up online real quick, boom, found a recipe, and I had all the spices in it. That's a good way to use up your spices as well. Yeah.
One other, sorry.
Uh-huh.
I read about chia seeds and flax seeds. Do you need to do both of them, or is it one or the other?
The question is about chia seeds and flax seeds.
You could do both. You could do one or the other. It's up to you.
I like to add hemp seeds
Yeah,
mixture too.
me too. Pumpkin seeds and sesame seeds. So they have omega-3 fatty acids and fiber in it, some protein. So we want to try and increase our intake of omega-3 fatty acids because a lot of our processed foods is omega-6 fatty acids. Like 50 years ago, our ratios were in our diet were 1-to-1, and now it's like 20-to-1 of omega-6 to omega-3, and that causes inflammation. So trying to crowding out the bad stuff by adding in some of the good stuff. So sometimes I'll add some hemp seeds to my salads, or if I have a yogurt, I always have ground flax in my fridge, so I'll find ways that I can add it. My one son is addicted to the Kodiak cake waffles, and it's special. I make it for him, and throughout the week I do put chocolate chips in it because why not? But I always put in the ground flax in there, and he has no idea. But it's adding some extra fiber and some health benefits to it. So you could add flax to anything. Chia is great to make like an overnight chia pudding. You can use it instead of eggs. So you can use a flax egg or chia egg. And if you don't want to use an egg, you can't scramble it like scrambled eggs. But it does work really well with baking and things like that.
We just made, over the last weekend, my kids made it actually, but we made for Mother's Day, for the mothers in our lives, we made it's overnight oats it has the oats in it. It has chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. There was a little bit of vanilla. We did Greek yogurt. You can do like a plant-based yogurt. But it was a cheesecake flavor of it. So we put strawberries in it, and then we put like crumbled graham cracker at the bottom. And they loved it. And it's got all those chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. It's got all that in it. So it's got the fiber. And my kids, they loved them. And it's easy to make. You just put it in the refrigerator, and it lasts a few days.
Yeah.
You can just grab it quick for breakfast.
So. I wanted to point out that I'm using honey in this recipe as a sweetener, and I would recommend if you're at a farmer's market and you see a local beekeeper that's selling their honey, buy it, because that will help with local allergens like seasonal allergies. This I found at Publix. It's from the Southeast. It's the closest I get to like closer to here. So that's the brand that I like from Publix.
A plug for the Commons Co-op. We work with Black Bee Honey. Yep, Black Bee Honey,
Good.
Which is a wonderful program. It's children in Paramore, so it teaches them entrepreneurial skills, and they have the whole honey business thriving. So you might
Amazing.
see them around town at different farmers markets as well, but they're always here at our Commons Co-op. In fact, this last time I bought 3 bottles because now that we're doing it quarterly, not monthly. So they have a couple
of different. Buy
different.
some for here to have.
That's a good idea.
And then that'd
yeah.
be good marketing, and I could use that in some of the ingredients.
And they do a couple different varieties too. So I think I got like a gallberry, which I'd never heard of this time, and wildflower.
Wildflower,
So,
yeah. That's when my family, that we always get the Black Bee honey. It's really good.
I'm adding some turmeric to our dressing because that's a great anti-inflammatory ingredient. And when you use turmeric, you want to use black pepper with it because it helps you utilize it better. So I'm adding in some turmeric and
That's great for people with arthritis, and a lot of people ask about supplements, and I say if you can get it through your food, that's the best way to do it. Adding it as spices and things like that. I think that's a great way to get turmeric and other nutrients, minerals, and vitamins.
So you see, I'm adding it to a mason jar. You don't have to, if I were to whisk it, it gets all messy. I'm mixing it in the container. I'm going to keep it in the fridge in. I have this as well that I like to use, but I think the volume was going to be too big for that, but I doubled the recipe. This will stay good in your fridge for about a week. So I wanted to dress a little bit of the salad, and then I'll put some on the side for you guys as well, because I don't like when people overdress my salad.
So going back to the flaxseed, obviously we've all been told to get the benefits, it needs to be ground.
Yes.
Otherwise it just goes through the system. I was reading
Tongues.
a study about chia seeds, and it was saying that chia seeds, there's like a weird place you press. Same concept, and that was the first I ever heard.
I haven't heard
I'm
that.
not sure I haven't heard that.
I've seen some people grind them, but I don't understand why. Because chia seeds expand like 18 times their size when it's put in liquid, but I don't know why they feel the need to do that. I haven't seen that study or a reason to do that. I like it just regular, plain.
So don't just throw flax seeds in there, you have to grind
It
them.
has to be ground, or you don't digest it. It just goes right through you. It's kind of a waste of money. So it comes ground, and I store it in my refrigerator because it is a fat and it can go rancid. So I put it in the refrigerator. I accidentally bought the seeds and I was so annoyed, and it was about to expire, and I'm like, that is a big waste of money. So I took my seed grinder and I just ground it all up and put it in an old spaghetti jar, and now it's front and center. It reminds me every time I open it, boom, use that. So like I added it to my shake today. So you could add it on top of your salad, on your oatmeal, all sorts of things.
I think that's a great point too, putting it in the front. You want to put the healthier foods in the front. Make
Yes.
it easier to make the healthier choice. Make it, what we do is we try not to buy like a bunch of, sweets and ice cream and all that stuff. We don't do that because if it's there, I'm going to eat it. I have a really bad sweet tooth, so I'm going to eat it. So we intentionally try not to buy that stuff. And if I'm very desperate, then I walk over to my mom's house in my garage apartment at 10 p.m. and I'm banging on her door for some brown cow ice cream. But, that's only when I'm very, very weak, and it takes a lot to me to have to get to that point. So it doesn't happen very often.
Allison, while the salad's being passed around, somebody had asked the question about the best way to prep and store cut lettuce in the refrigerator so it doesn't go bad.
I usually use it pretty quickly, and but if I'm buying cut salad from the grocery store in those clamshells, I will open it up and I'll fold a paper towel and tuck it in there, and then store it upside down so it's absorbing all the excess moisture. If you want to store it in a Ziploc baggie, just tuck in a paper towel in there, and that will help keep it from going bad quickly. And my romaine lettuce has lasted quite a bit in the refrigerator. Cabbage is also a really good one to always have in your refrigerator because it can last a very long time, and you can make a cabbage slaw, a cabbage salad. I like to do what I call the salad bar in my fridge, where I am cut all my ingredients, put them in clear containers, put them in my refrigerator, and then I know, okay, it's lunchtime, I feel like a salad. And then I can make different salads every single day, or I have already my stuff cut for a stir fry or fajitas, a tofu egg scramble or omelet. So it's the harder work has already been done to make it easier for me during the week. Because I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want on Thursday, when it's Monday. And I might have some more food waste if I'm planning out that far ahead. So having the shortcuts. And then if I don't use it, like if I don't use these onions, I'm just going to put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in my freezer, and then I can use that later. You can also use things like zucchini, cauliflower, and freeze that. And if you're making a smoothie, instead of using ice cubes, use that, and that tastes creamy. You don't taste the zucchini or squash or cauliflower at all. You're getting more fiber in. You're getting more variety of your vegetables in. So that is a great option as well. I like to try and repurpose a lot of my food so that I'm not eating the same thing over and over again. I'm totally different than your husband. Good.
Good?
What is your view on dairy and
Yeah, so I eat dairy. I try not to overdo it. I think with anything in moderation. You don't want to do a ton of dairy, but I think that, it's a way that my family gets some of their protein with like Greek yogurt and things like that.
And it's a fermented food, which is
Yeah.
good for your gut as well.
We do a lot of the kombucha. Too. I don't know if you like kombucha for the.
A lot of those, you have to be careful because they have so much sugar
You have
in
to
it.
read the label.
And there's
Yeah.
very few that have a
Yeah.
little amount of sugar in it, unfortunately.
So yeah, we try not to do a lot of it, but we will do some, with different things that we.
Do you have cheese?
What was that?
Do you have cheese?
We do have cheese. I try not to eat a lot of cheese, but we do. We have it sometimes occasionally.
Like goat cheese is supposed to be a little bit healthier, is that right?
We'll do like goat cheese and feta. I try not to do like a big block of cheese and sit and eat the whole thing with
Yeah.
like chips or crackers.
Yeah.
But just I think everything in moderation. Just
Yeah.
try not to overdo it.
I like cottage cheese because it's
Oh,
got more
yeah.
protein in it, and so don't tell my husband. I know he won't be watching this, so I'm fine. But we are a sucker for queso, and we are getting in a bad habit of getting queso, like ordering queso out when I'm making some tacos at home. So I'm like, I'm gonna make queso out of cottage cheese, and he's not gonna know. So I did cottage cheese last night, and then I do add some regular shredded cheese to it with the taco seasoning and some water, put it in my blender, baked it up, boom, no idea. And he's like, huh. And I've done it twice, and he had no idea. And I'm like,
Don't you love that when
I
you
love it.
make something
Yeah.
and they're like, "This is amazing!
Yeah.
Like, it's made out of chickpeas."
yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. I've done that with Miracle noodles too. Have you ever heard of the Miracle noodles? They also called shirataki noodles. It's considered a vegetable. It's made with a konjac flour. It's shelf stable on the top shelf at Publix. I love it. It tastes like real pasta, but it's 5 calories. And so I usually make that for myself while the family's eating their regular pasta. And I didn't feel like doing it. I didn't feel like baking double things one night, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it to him. And I filmed him secretly. I'm like, do you like it? He's like, this is great. I'm like, boom, score. What? Miracle noodles. Oh, miracle. Miracle. It's a miracle. Yeah. It's in the pasta section, top shelf. It's a blue bag. There's an orange bag and a yellow bag. They make a rice. The rice kind of reminds me of tapioca or boba texture. It's still good, but it's not like, it doesn't remind me of real rice like the pasta noodles remind me of pasta noodles.
You can do like zucchini noodles too, but
Yep.
that's going to taste different. So you have
Yeah.
to go into it knowing like this is not going to taste like the normal pasta, but it's another healthy alternative.
And a
that you
good
can
way to
try.
get more veggies in.
Well, you said that you used cauliflower and other things.
And zucchini.
Blender
Uh-huh.
for a smoothie. Were they cooked already?
Nope. She asked if when I use zucchini and cauliflower in my blender for my smoothie, were they cooked? No, you don't have to. If I'll go to Costco and they'll sell a big bag of zucchini and squash for like $6. It's organic and you can't pass that up. I'm like a kid in a candy store in the produce section, but I can't eat it that fast. So I'll just chop it up in coin shapes and freeze it. And eat, like sometimes I will add zucchini into like some muffin recipes, but I have picky eaters. I should have started when they were 3 and 6. I was a picky eater too, and look at me now. Look at me now. But so if I'm adding the zucchini into the muffins, I will shred the skin off, and I save that in the Ziploc bag, and I'll throw that into my smoothie as well. So less waste, more nutrition for me, and they're getting a little nutrition in the muffins and things like that.
Question about the miracle noodles. I tried them once. Is there a special way you cook them? Because to me, they were
I don't cook them. I don't heat them up. I just take them in a colander and rinse them off and just throw it in the sauce. Because like I have never heated it up. I think it would get kind of pasty, mushy. Yeah, you don't need to heat it up because your sauce is already hot, so that's going to warm it up. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think? Good? All right. I'm going to quickly do the dessert, but I'm going to pass the dessert for you because I made it in advance because it needed to chill a little bit. So here, Jackie, would you pass this around? I'm going to transition to the new recipe over here. Almost forgot about this, but it's so fast. And before class, we were talking, we could you could make a pie with the mousse. You could take some graham cracker crust, or you could take the dates and nuts and grind them up in a food processor and press it down and pour that on top and have some of that. All right, let's see.
It's so funny. We made a very similar recipe to this, and I did the thing where we tricked everybody in the family. So we had a bunch of family in from Ohio, a bunch of kids, all my kids' cousins, and we made a chocolate mousse, and it was made out of silken tofu, and it had a little cocoa powder, a little maple syrup, but it was most of it was the silken tofu, and they had no idea, and they loved it, and we actually didn't tell them for like a few weeks, and they were like, wait, what? I sent out the video of my kids like making it because they like to make these little cooking videos, and everybody in our family was like, we watched the video. Was that what we ate?
That's how you.
So it was pretty funny. A lot of substitutions you can make, and the food's like very, very good, and a lot of times you can't tell. Sometimes it tastes even better.
Exactly. All right, let me clear off my space. And we are going to be using the silken tofu for this recipe. And I've made avocado mousse, and I've made silken tofu mousse, and I decided I'm going to combine it and see how that goes. So this has 1 avocado. Avocado is a really good source of fiber and omega-3 fatty acids. So that's a good way to crowd out some of the bad stuff by adding that in. And we're using cocoa powder. When I made it, because I made the tofu recipe recently, and it was very rich and decadent. This one's not quite as rich because I'm not using melted chocolate in it, but I decided I'm going to add some chocolate chips to it to make it have more of a chocolate flavor to it. I added some coconut and some raspberries. And here we go. All right.
Do you need these?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. So let me get my recipe over here.
So this must have a lot of protein in it.
It has protein in it, yeah. So much better than just, your regular mousse, yeah. And that's all fat. So this is a very good higher protein dish.
I think the one that we made with the silken tofu, I want to say it was like 10 grams of protein,
Yeah.
something like that. It was a lot.
All right. So
We also like to use ripple milk at home. So
that was BOGO recently too.
Yes, yeah. We got
Did you
a bunch
stock up?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we stocked up on
Ripple?
Ripple milk. So, when we first started trying to be like more plant-based, we switched to almond milk. And we did that for a while, but then I found out about Ripple milk, which almond milk only has 1 gram of protein per cup, and Ripple milk has, I believe it's 8, just like regular cow's milk does. So you can get a lot more protein in the Ripple milk, and I think it tastes good. It's like a pea protein.
What do you think of that versus soy?
So I haven't looked to see. Do you know how many grams of protein?
I'm not sure how many grams
soy?
of protein soy milk is, but I do like soy milk.
Yeah. More than
Yeah.
almonds. Yeah. Yeah. So
I like the organic soy though, because the soy can be a lot of GMOs and stuff, so you want to try and find the organic. All right, so this is what silken tofu looks like. It's kind of a gelatinous thing. I would add this into smoothies as well, just to get an added source of plant-based proteins.
And when you're adding it in here, you don't have to get the moisture out,
right,
correct?
Right. And let me see. All right, so we've got
When
that.
you're baking the other tofu, you want to get the moisture out of it. But this one you don't
3/4
have to.
cup unsweetened almond milk.
SILKEN.
Liquid measuring
Silken
cup, yeah.
tofu. And it is important to use that one versus you don't want to use like the extra firm because it'll taste like grittier. You want to get this type
And when
for-
you're cutting your avocado, don't do it in your hand, because then you're going to end up potentially in the hospital. Like, this one doesn't look so pretty. I'm going to cut up the other one. Do you want to do it on a cutting board? There we go. That one looks a lot better. So I need a spoon to get that out. The what box? I just put in the garbage. But if you're okay with that.
So I didn't see to cut the avocado.
Yeah, you just move it around the seed and then you twist it, and I take a spoon and just scrape it out. Boom. You can scrape it out whole, you can scrape it out in slices. Since I already cut the avocado, I'm going to add the other avocado to it. Why not, you know? We don't want any... I'm not composting a good avocado, that's for darn sure. Yep. Do you like it?
Do you ever put avocado in your smoothie? I freeze them if if I don't use them.
Uh-huh.
Then I'm like, oh,
Throw it in the smoothie.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Freeze avocado, you don't-
They now sell it frozen in frozen cubes. But yeah, if you got some that are going to go bad, that's a great idea.
My only tip is if you do it, you kind of have to separate them on a plate, then freeze them. Otherwise,
They'll stick together.
they're impossible. They're really hard.
Yeah.
So, freeze them separately.
You can freeze even grape tomatoes, which is
Yeah.
kind of surprising.
And then like kind of bake them.
I roast them, yeah.
roast 'em.
And if you're going to put them in a sauce, like yesterday I did when I was making the tacos, I needed a little bit more tomato sauce. I'm like, I don't have it, and I don't want to open this big extra huge jar. So I took some of my frozen tomatoes, I roasted them, and just squished them together and made it like a sauce. But don't tell my husband. All right.
He actually made this. You can tell I was sweet tooth. We made this like a a cookie cake, but we made it out of chickpeas.
Oh, yum.
And it was like chickpeas. There was some maple syrup in it, I think. We used some like cocoa nibs in there, and you just mix it all up in the blender, and we baked it. There was some other ingredients. I think there was some vanilla in there, but. We took it over to somebody's house, which was a risk because I'd never made it before, but we took it over and they're like, this is amazing. This tastes so good. And I was like, it's chickpeas. And they were like, what?
Get your recipes. Where do you find all of these?
I get a lot of mine from Pinterest, and Allison's got a lot of great recipes too. I've tried a lot of hers because she's got a lot of things on social media, so you can get things from her. But
Yeah.
Pinterest, I really like a lot too.
On Pinterest, what do you put in to search?
Usually, if you look at my search, it's like healthy vegetarian snacks for kids, healthy vegetarian, like
Okay.
or like substitution for chocolate pudding. You can put all kinds of things. You'll get all sorts of But Pinterest is a great place to look, I think.
Nourish Coffee Bar and Kitchen also sells chickpea brownies, I think.
Oh yeah,
Or, yeah,
They have the chickpea blondie. Bars.
Chickpea blondie, yeah.
Yeah, I know this well. And
Well,
then-
I know we're getting towards the end of the time, and we're going to keep it going, wrap it up. But we are under severe thunderstorm warning, everybody, but we're okay. So
Oh,
just
God.
if it sees dark, yeah. But we'll be okay. But I just wanted to hopefully we don't lose power. That's the reason I'm
Oh.
bringing it up, because that has happened before. So for
Yeah.
our Zoom audience at home, if we lose power, we won't reconnect at this point because we are wrapping up. And don't forget to complete your surveys. I've put it into the chat as well as a link to the recipes. And again, for everybody in here, you'll get the survey, and we'll send you a link to the video. So if you want to rewatch any of this and you're making it home, you're like, wait, how did Allison cut that avocado? You can watch her do it all over again.
Yes.
So, but thank you everybody for coming. And again, we're going to finish up here. I just wanted to put that in there because I'm paranoid because it's happened before with the power.
Yes. All right, Jackie, there it is. Okay. I'm using their tools today. I usually bring all mine, and I'm like, I'm going to try theirs so I don't have to bring mine. Boom. Okay. All right, so I'm mixing it all together. Regular blender? You probably could. Yeah, you just need to scrape it down. Do you have a Vitamix? Yeah, so as long as you squeeze
That's
it.
what we used when we made ours. We just used a regular blender.
With the avocado, you do want to, I'll take my fork and I'll score it a little bit just to get it a little bit more mashed up. When I first tried doing this, I just put it all whole half in there, and I found it wasn't getting chopped up. You see a little bit of chunks of the avocado in there. It's fine, but if you're trying to hide it from somebody, you want to make sure it's really blended up well. And that's all you do. And then you take it and then you put it in the fridge and let it chill for at least an hour. I think it tastes fine just like this. You don't really have to chill it, but that's what the recipe calls for. And you could do your little add-ins. Hemp seed would be great in that. Your chocolate chips, your coconut, any berries. would be delicious. I could use this as I would take a fruit skewer and maybe have it as a dip for that at a party. So there's lots of different things that you could do with it. Yeah, I buy those on Amazon. I buy that size and then this size. So like they come in sleeves of 100. So I do it for this, but when I was working outside of the home, it was perfect for meal prepping. You know, if I don't want my dressing on my thing or sauces on the side, I could do that.
What's it called?
It's on my Amazon store. When I send you the email, I have the link to it. And I also get like a 8-ounce little short one, because how many times do your kids lose Tupperware or things, and they go back and forth between their dad's house and my house, so I'm not like, having all my expensive stuff end up at dad's house. It's got to come back to me. So I bought the sleeve of 100 of those, so if they lose it, I don't care.
Do they seal as well?
Perfectly. It's like what you would get at a restaurant for a soup that is, a short one. So it works great. I wouldn't tip it upside down. I would just put fruit in it for them, but
Well, I want to let Dr. Becker know because I know she's probably going to get back upstairs. But thank you so much, Dr. Becker, for your first Food is Medicine. Yay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, everybody else. I'm going to leave the room over just a couple more minutes, but I'm going to go take a picture of you two before you leave too.
Okay.
So, but thank you, everybody, for coming today. Stay safe out there.
Thank you so much
thank
for
you.
having me.